Hey, these are your guys from Seaside. That is Max there on the Paul Lloyd Warner piano. That is Bob on the saxophone leading the pack. Jerry there on those skins, and that is Harley there on that bass fiddle. Nice job, guys. We love you. Woo! Hey, and good morning, Seaside. Wow, what a joy it is to be with you today, this wonderful spring day. The sun is out, there's life in the house, and it is the last Sunday of the month, which is why I stand here. We call it our Sacred Sunday, where we eliminate some of those announcements. And so you get me from the beginning. How's that? Woo! So we're having a good time doing Lent in reverse here, which is about not giving something up in the energy of rejection, giving up, trying to extrapolate, and all that kind of stuff, and embracing the greater good, just allowing that vision to pour through you, the emergence of the greater yet to be. That's what we're working on here. And so to help that, we like to set the tone at every one of our services by lighting the light. And so we have a wonderful practitioner today. Trudy, who's been the head of our practitioner corps for some time, is carrying the candle, which is symbolic of carrying the consciousness. And I light it, knowing, there we go. And Trudy will be sitting back there in our prayer center, our spiritual support center. And I want you to know that after service, if you're looking for prayer, that's the place you go. There's always practitioners sitting or standing back there ready to pray with you. You can go to our prayer chapel on the west foyer and receive a prayer there. They might even take you out to the prayer gazebo out by our waterfall. So don't hesitate to experience the prayer. And also the prayer requests are right back there. And what you do is you just take that piece of paper and you fill in the vision of what you're working on creating in your life, embracing that greater good. You put it down and it will get prayed on every day by our 40 or more practitioners for a whole week. So take advantage of that. It feels good. But what we do on the last Sunday is you're not going to find the practitioners back there. It's our prayer wall Sunday. So we create a wall at the end of the service with all our practitioners for you to come up and receive prayer. And they just love to be able to pray for you. So anything you're working on, be willing to bring it forward. But with that said, why don't you stand, say hello to the person next to you, share that love. Standing.
Good morning, Seaside. All right, we need you guys to sing nice and loud. We're getting ready to host turkey buyers here, right? You guys ready? Come on, let's sing. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Whoa. The Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, used to think that I had to. Used to think that I should. Scripture told me I had to. Know that I had to be good. But now I love 'cause I want. Good morning.
Morning. Did you get home at a decent time last night?
No, but the band was on fire, and you guys are on fire. It's great to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here. No matter how late you were out, you don't need to tell us. You don't have to confess to your minister here or anything. Anyway. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Great song. We love that. Ricky Byers,
thank you.
for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Yep, you'll be here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. All right. So here we are. We are in the midst of this wonderful program here, the 7 Keys to Healing, that I'll share a little bit more about. But what we continually believe about Seaside for that healing to come about is to keep moving our consciousness to the wholeness, the totality of our being. And one of the wonderful ways to do that is through prayer. And we have a wonderful prayer here, someone who's been part of Seaside for almost 2 decades. Now a student in the School of Ministry beyond his freshman year, one of the wise ones in the school in which the freshmen go to. And that's our very own Brian Atkins. Pray us in.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please join me in the stillness. So here's what I know. I know there is one omnipotent, omnipresent power in the universe, one all-loving, caring source, and I call that source God. And I know that God is right here, right this very moment, expressing itself through each and every one of us here at Seaside today. And I know that I am one with God. I am one with the source of love and caring and compassion, the source of wisdom and knowledge, the source of all that is and all that will ever be. And I know that to be true for each and every one of us here today at Seaside. Each of us is that divine essence, and closer to us than our breath, that is where God is. And it's because of this that we are heir to all the wealth and all the riches of the universe. For we are the divine essence. And I give thanks in advance in knowing that each of us, of all ages, receives exactly that which we are here for today. As the divinely inspired words flow forth from Dr. Christian Sorensen's lips, each of us are touched. Each of us receives a new insight, new inspiration, and we, in turn, take that message out into the world and pass it on to others. And consciousness expands throughout the world. And so I simply turn this time over to the hands of God and know that it is perfect.
That was beautiful, Carissa. That's your song, man. Max, nice job there on the piano. Brian, great job with the prayer. Feels good up here. Yeah. Feels good. Step up and see all you guys here now. I like that. I like that. That feels good. And hey, if any of you here for the first time today, welcome. Welcome to Seaside. I'm so grateful you chose to share your Sunday morning with us, and know that wherever you may be on your spiritual path, that you're welcome at Seaside. And I've got a guest packet for you. You can pick it up at either one of the entrances. In there is a CD on some of the basic ideas of the Science of Mind, and a Science of Mind magazine, and some other goodies that are probably up there on the screen, so you can actually get them in your hand and do something with them. But it's a joy that you've chosen to be here, because together we create the field in which Spirit comes forth, and it's always exciting to be part of that. So welcome to Seaside. It is truly a thriving spiritual community that inspires people to live their divinity, and we're here with one another, growing up with each other in a spiritual kind of way. So we do our best to practice the kindness and understanding and love and compassion as all of us are going through whatever it is we go through to get to this place in our life and our world. So welcome. Your presence makes a difference for sure. And so since I got the stage today, I'm going to kind of go off script here a bit. Sorry. And I was wondering, sometimes, we do testimonials or heart-to-heart next week, but it'd be fun. Does anybody have a testimonial to share? I'll come down there and quickly, a quick one, but I'd love to hear it. Come on up. Oh, Brian, I don't know if I'd have called on you if I knew it was you. No, I'm teasing. Yeah.
Good morning. So, you're not going to let me hold the mic?
No. I learned this from Oprah, You never let go of the mic.
So this was actually a healing that occurred to me while I was in Dr. Christian's minister speaker class. And it was during a time when I was preparing for a prosperity speech, and so it was a healing of my sense of lack. And I remember I was listening to a lot of YouTube videos, coming up with material for this presentations on prosperity, and I was sitting in the back over there on Sunday morning, and they were getting ready to pass around the offering. And my mind traveled back to a video I'd watched the day before with Edwin Gaines, and she was saying, go ahead and try it. You can't outgive God. I'm sorry, that's the best Southern accent I've got. But, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I scribbled down an amount on my check that made me somewhat uncomfortable. And I passed it in the offering, and I'm thinking, okay, God, let's see what happens. And the next morning, I'm up, actually at 4 a.m. in the morning, I drive for Uber typically. And I was thinking, things were really slow. And I'm like, come on, God. Let's see you produce here, and which is not exactly what you would consider prosperity consciousness. But the morning unwound, and it was really slow, and I finally was like, it was approaching noon, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to go down to Konos at the beach, sit out there on the patio and have lunch, and just, figure this, allow this day to pass away. And I got to the beach, and I heard this ping, and I realized that my Uber app had been left on, and I'm thinking to myself, darn, I forgot to turn it off. And I was thinking, it's probably just somebody who wants a ride from the beach to their car. And so I looked down at my app, and it said, it's 2 blocks away, and it said, it's, at least a 45-minute drive. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, I better check this out. Well, I drove over there, and it turned out a guy had just rented a Maserati. He wanted to drive up to L.A. with his girlfriend, and he needed somebody to just bring the suitcase up there. Oh. And so I had the whole trip, 3-hour trip up there to work on speeches and take care of my business and all that with nobody else in the car, just me and their suitcases. Oh. And by the time I got back to San Diego later on, I had made 3 times the amount that I had at the time that I received that.
There you go, man. Nice job. Way to go, Brian. Woo! How fun. Okay, last one, real quick. Come on up. We got one right here. Okay. Yes.
I've been actually coming to Seaside for about maybe 8 or 10 years, but about 7 years ago, 12 years ago now, I was diagnosed with cancer. And about 7 years ago, I was here, and my doctor had told me that I was out of options. And I was coming to the Wednesday service, and we started treating and praying about it and everything. And I got an email from the University of New Mexico who invited me to come back and do a clinical trial. And I have a home in Santa Fe anyway, so I went on back, and that lasted for 5 years. Now I'm a 12-year survivor of stage 3 ovarian cancer.
Wow. That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Amazing stories. That's how it works. You know, it's and that's why we'd like to share them more. Wednesday nights, I want you to know that I'm committed to doing Wednesday night services, midweek healing services, starting in October for Seaside. So it's going to be about healing. It's going to be walking around doing just what it is we did. So, okay, well, you guys want me to read my prayer to you? You want to hear what it sounds like in my head? How would I feel if you said no, right? Okay, because I know if I don't read it, who knows if you'll ever get around to it. It takes about 2 minutes, so relax, and then we'll have Kenny sing to us. But it's a prayer of wholeness, which is what this morning's message is. Actually, it's the 4th key to healing that we're working on here. So you can read it or close your eyes, relax. The nameless glory, forever undefined, resolute in its perfection, appears on the outside, yet it exists wholly within. It remains fresh and vibrant as my life. Ecstatically entwined as the same miracle, I live in the freedom of eternity. Pondering myself as part of the whole, I realize that the whole of this universe breathes within me. In the caprice of my understanding that reason cannot claim, every direction I turn is a road to knowing God's presence. Any discord, dis-ease, disharmony that appears to my mortal awareness dissipates as the undisturbed omnipotent dispels everything unlike itself. With divine determination, I escape selfhood's vicious tyranny. Divine sovereignty reigns supreme in my kingdom for God, which is the everlasting state of perfection, and it naturally turns winter into the dazzling hues of spring. Stepping free from my pain, the unending spiritual healing forces eradicates all grievances and unwanted irritations from my body and affairs. This reemergence of the God awareness, rising free, engulfs innumerable ploys of the seducer's sicknesses. Yanking the thorns of existence from my heart, I bravely traverse the valley's depths, coming to realize how all the pieces of my life are linked to the wholeness of who I am. Burdens are relieved, concerns comforted, struggles alleviated, as the ignorance of this world is annihilated by the God consciousness. Understanding this life's journey is going on within me. The eternal divine manifestation lifts me above the world of form to one of creation. And just as a bird flies when freed from its cage, I too naturally return to the origin of my wholeness. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. Seaside, you know her, you love her. We're welcoming back Kenny Dye this morning. You saw her last at the New Thought-a-thon, which was a blast. Did everybody come to that? Yes, okay, or did you watch it? Kenny is working on an album called I Am of meditation and Shavasana music for yoga. And if you'd like to support in raising the collective consciousness by helping get that music out in the world, you can see her after service and find out how you can help out with that. All right, Kenny Dye.
That is Kenny Die. Woo! All right, Kenny. Woo. Wow, love that sound. That's good. All right, so, hey, this morning's message is a realization of wholeness. It dissolves all disease. If we can just heal that sense of separation, that's the only cause that's going to create the challenges in our world. I'm going to give you the upfront fact of it all. It is about, just healing that sense of separation. And so that's really the key that I want to share with you this week, the 7 keys to success. And Marv, you want to put them up there? The first week we took a look as God, to see as God sees is the first key. The second key is forgiveness. Seeing as God sees. Key number 1, keys to healing. Key number 2, forgiveness. Last week we spoke about surrender, and this week I'm speaking about wholeness. And so what we are offering everybody is these complementary sacred circles. If you want to take the message to a deeper level and see how it's applicable into your life, we got these hour and 15-minute gatherings. There's 3 of them that are left open. Tuesday mornings here at Seaside. There's Wednesday with Ginny at Seaside, and then there's Friday with Reverend Marcia. So take advantage of that. It's not too late. It's always open and welcome. But what we do is we take this message to a deeper place and realize that, how can I begin to embrace a greater possibility? If I'm doing Lent in reverse, what is it that I can do that begins to shift my awareness and my perspective? Because I think we've all experienced disappointment in our life at some time or another. We've experienced some kind of pain, something that went amiss, that didn't work out right, or maybe a mistake that we made and some trespass that we created that it didn't feel good. And all of a sudden you're left with this heaviness that doesn't feel like wholeness. It feels like a heaviness. And I like what Joel Osteen does is he refers to it like you get caught in this slave mentality. Like, oh no, you keep thinking about this mistake, this past, this disappointment, this challenge, and you remain enslaved to what was back then, whether it's addictions, slave to the addictions, or slave to mediocrity, or slave to doctor's prognosis, or a slave to the body, or slave to, and all of a sudden you begin to think this is the very truth of my being, that, I cannot pray boldly anymore, that I can't stretch beyond where I had been because I'm weighing heavy with this. I don't feel like I'm part of the totality. Rather, I'm feeling separated from that infinite flow of spirit. But Spirit says, or the scripture anyway, says, beloved, now you're a child of God. Now you are a child of God. Not you're going to be when you get this worked out. Now you are the child of God. And that's 2 different mentalities there. If you got an issue going on, it's an entirely different approach if you think you are a slave or whether you think you're a kid of someone who's going to be able to bring a greater expression in your life. Yeah? Okay, just making sure you're tracking here. So here you go. Speaking of slaves, and we're in, again, close to the Passover season. So the wonderful story of the Exorcist. You've got the Israelites that have been in prison for 400 years, or enslaved for 400 years by the pharaohs. 10 generations. This is all the total slave mentality, because the parents have been enslaved. It's been passed along. Finally, enough was enough. Spirit sent the plagues, or the plagues happened, and Moses showed up and said, hey, free my people. And the Pharaoh said, whew, that's enough. Go ahead, guys. 2 million just released, and off they go. And they're taken off across the desert, and all of a sudden the Pharaoh goes, what'd I do? I just let all my workforce go. I don't think so. He called out, says, 600 of his best and fastest chariot, got his biggest, strongest warriors, and said, go bring back those guys. And off they went after the Israelites, who were feeling like free at last. But all of a sudden, you see the dust in the background starting to come, and it's just the classic metaphor of you think you're free from your past, and all of a sudden you look behind. Here it comes, roaring down in the chariots. The cloud is coming to get you. It's like the Pharaoh's chariots are the classic example of your past wanting to revisit and gobble you up. You're not part of the wholeness. You got the slave mentality that says, maybe I should go back with those guys. At least we were fed. We didn't have to run. Will we ever get away? And then, they get to the Red Sea, and then that becomes pretty significant. Am I in the slave mentality where I am separate, or am I one with this divine inheritance, with the expression of infinite possibilities? It comes down to that being the point of decision. And we know the story. The sea opened up and they crossed the sea. Now imagine if you're trying to escape from your past or those that are pursuing you. Even if you get across the sea, you're going to be thinking, how long is it going to be before they get around here, before they're going to get me? You know, I beat cancer. How long is it going to be before it raises its head? And I want you to know a testimonial at the first service guy shared with me. 32 years he's celebrating this week of free from fourth stage cancer. You know, so I want us to get that the head can play these games. I'm free for now, but how long before my subjective rate? And what I love about this story is, boom, the chariots went in, the water closed, and boom, the enemy's gone. There's no longer lingering concern about my past coming to get me because it is gone. It has been eliminated. It has been wiped out. When you step into this state of wholeness, that whole past causative factor is gone. Are you able to open up to a new possibility that allows you to experience a greater experience of your totality, of your oneness with the omnipresent, with that omniscient, that all-knowing that is everywhere, that is moving through you, healing that sense of separation? Max Planck, the quantum theorist, he said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's right. Am I looking for waves or am I looking for particles? You know, Ernest kind of said, change your thinking, change your life. He writes about, don't try to change reality, change your response to it. Don't try to change, the things outside of you. Don't try to, but rather work on that mental approach, on that spiritual approach. Allow yourself to merge back into the wholeness of your being and allow that vision to see as God sees, key from week number 1, to see through you. And any of the mistakes you may have made, forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness for others, you got to let that go. I got to surrender to that and begin to immerse myself into the wholeness of my being for healing to happen. H.B. Jeffries, he wrote a book called Principles of Healing. Our practitioner class is using right now. He was born in the 1870s. So around the turn of that century, he brought forth a wonderful concept that has become a cliche that says everything is consciousness. You ever hear that one? Yeah, it's all consciousness. It's all a reflection of consciousness. But he extrapolates it out a little bit by saying everything is consciousness, therefore all disturbance is in consciousness. You got that? All disturbances in consciousness. We're dealing with the energetic. We're dealing with the frequency. We're dealing with the vibration. What are you resonating with? What is it you're embodying? Are you allowing yourself to be part of the wholeness and trusting that higher perspective to see as God sees? I'm going to allow myself to move into this place so I know that even in spite of reality, as Ernest was talking about, what I'm going to do about this, that there's something else that wants to be known here. A couple of weeks ago, you may have read this article or heard the story. It was in New York shortly after the shooting in New Zealand. There was a mosque. It was the Mid-City it was the Islamic Society of Mid-Manhattan Mosque. And on Friday, their place burned. And it wasn't a malicious kind of burning. The restaurant downstairs, I guess, caught on fire, and it didn't burn down, but the place burned where it wasn't usable for the Friday night prayers, which is the highest, day for Islams to do their prayers. And the people started gathering. And the imams, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? When the New York Mid-City synagogue said, we'll open our doors, and you guys can walk down the block and come into our pavilion and pray. And it was a beautiful blending of those two religions on that Friday evening. Mom said, the Imam said that it was the holiest moment that he had ever experienced in his time in New York. And the rabbi, she said that, our Shabbat is tomorrow, and we understand, our place had been burned 20 years ago, and we're just opening it up. Those are the things that can happen when you choose to make elegant choices. You've got to shift your perspective, your reality, your thinking. And when you make a choice, the qualities and the nature of that choice are what unfold in your world. So if you're making an elegant choice, then the beauty of that unfolds in your world. if you're making a fearful choice, then that is what unfolds in your world and in your life. We're all familiar with a wonderful hero in our lifetime, Nelson Mandela. Bless his heart, moved on. But as we know, in 1964, he was incarcerated for helping to neutralize the apartheid in South Africa. I mean, I sat in his cell in Robben Island and looked at his quarry that used to pound rock. You could just feel that vibration. And so, his book, The Long Walk to Freedom, was just very, very powerful. And one of the things that he shared, he was incarcerated for more than 26 years before he was released. And he said that I learned to walk in my mind. I found great freedom in my mind. I found a great prison in my mind. And so he writes about how he moved from impossibility to possibility. He said at first, he when he was sitting there, he was just thinking, this isn't it. It's not happening. His vision, the freedom of the people. What filled his mind, the choice, the response, the emotions, is it's not happening. And over a period of time, what began to unfold for him, and this is if you're working on a dis-ease in your body, a disconnect in your world, a disharmony, something that is out of balance. Here's just a very simple practice that, I'm great for these instant aha revelations. Boom, the heavens open up and all the good pours forth. But for him, it took 26 years. And so what unfolded is that it went from this isn't happening to it can happen. He said there, it can happen. The healing can happen. The abundance can flow. The answer can emerge, to the point where it then moved to it will happen. You got that? It will happen. You see that shift in energy? Just one word. It will happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it will happen. To the point where he finally got, it is happening. And when he got to it is happening, what he came to realize, part of what this is that he was in was part of it happening. See, that is the wholeness of it all. It's not going to be happening outside of you. It is happening within. This infinity, this eternity, this wholeness, this truth is inside of you, and it is moving from you. And there is something deep that is within you that wants to be discovered. You got that? It's deep within you, and it wants you to discover the totality, the allness, the freedom of your being. It's right there. You got to know it. Ernest Holmes, Marv, you got this slide here? Ernest writes that when a problem confronts you, right? We're working on wholeness here, so I'm going right at. When a problem confronts you, you take it into the silence of your consciousness. And instead of thinking of the problem, oh no, man, I'm screwed here. No. But instead of thinking of the problem, you open yourself up and you think of the answer. Because God doesn't have problems. Therefore, the divine mind is the answer to every human problem. Right? God doesn't have problems, does it? This life, this infinite, this omniscient, this omnipotent, it doesn't have challenges, scarcity, sickness. It's not caught up in doctor's reports and financial reports. It's all. It is perfect. It is whole. It is the truth. And so I hear people say, man, I got to believe this. I got to believe this. No, belief is not the way to get this creation going in your life. Well, I'm going to hope. Ernest Holmes tells us that hope is a subtle illusion. I mean, hope's better than fear, don't get me wrong. But hope's a subtle illusion. It's like, maybe not. Belief, a little bit better than hope, but it's still operating in your mind. You got to give up belief for knowing. As Brian stood here and said, what I know that there is one Spirit, and I am one with that. All that it is, I am. As I step into the wholeness and the totality of who I am, healing happens. I don't need to say, hey, God, fix this knee, or God, fix my back, or God, eradicate this growth in my body, or get my blood right, or whatever it is. When I step into the wholeness, there's movement happens, and it may look like the healing happens through the hands of a doctor. Or it may look like it will happen through the hands of a financial advisor. It may look like it happens through the hands of a lover. I don't know, but what I know is it's all spirit. And when you are totally immersed and there is no otherness and all the forgiveness it just dissolves, you are like spirit in the beginning who knew, spoke the word, and there was light. There was no, I wonder if this is going to, you think God really wondered? That's what we are. We are spirit expressing, and when there is no otherness, we come from that place and absolutely surrender to that. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that we lie in the lap of an immense intelligence. Let life guide you. We lie in the lap of immense intelligence, and we are the receiver through which the truth is expressed and the organ of its activity. We are the receiver through which truth is expressed and the organ, the action through which spirit is moving into this world. That's the way it works. Are you available, or are you stuck up with the past? Here come the Pharaoh and the chariots. I'm just not up. Or am I going to look and pray boldly? Am I going to decide, you know what? I can do this. I got entrusted with this something. I wouldn't have been given this idea or this passion if it wasn't something that I was supposed to do with it. And when I allow that to move through me, healing happens. When you're in the flow, you may be working a lot harder, but it feels good. Time just, boom, goes. There's a purging. I know if I can just get my body up here on stage, if I'm sick before, I know healing happens because this is my passion. And so if we can just say yes, one of the great inventions in human history, I think it's that big, was in the 5th century when a guy by the name of Gutenberg invented the printing press. Up until that time, you had to write it by hand or it wasn't getting out. And you know how long it takes to write a page or two, the whole Bible? But all of a sudden, created this printing press, and the dissemination of ideas radically changed throughout Western Europe in that moment in time, to such that it was the anchor or foundation of the Renaissance. It was an empowerment to the Reformation. It is given to individuals that can raise questions, whether it's the authority or the religious leaders or the political leaders. All of a sudden things began to shift because there was a way to express knowledge in which it hadn't been done before. But when he first came up with the idea, hey, what are you talking about? Gutenberg? You've got to know. Well, when everything lines up just right and I get the funding, then I'm going to do this project. No, now is the appointed time. When my boss finally leaves, then I'll get around to it. Or, when my wild child calms down, then I'm going to take care of it. Or when I get healed. We keep putting it off because there's something in our life that is like, we find a slave mentality to it. We're no longer that open conduit for the wholeness of spirit to express. I've got my human mind saying, this is why it can't work. I've got to complete this, finish this, get this out of the way. And this continues to unfold over time. You've got to just stop long enough and love yourself through it. That's good. You just remember that one line. Whatever's going on, love yourself through it. Love yourself through it. Breathe in that wonderful life force, that spirit, and know that shift is taking place. Now, if I wasn't a religious scientist, I'd probably be a Taoist. I like the way, no leaders, nature and all of that. But, Lao Tzu, it said, actually it was our key from last week. He said, surrender to life. Let life lead you. That's what I was slipping in earlier. He said, surrender to life. Let life lead you. Don't try to lead life. Don't try to manipulate or command life. Allow it to possess you. Allow that spirit You're part of the wholeness. You're not separate. You don't have this differentiation, and you've got the wholeness and then me. I'm part of the ease, the grace, the wisdom, the abundance, the love, the joy, the wholeness. This which can move mountains, guide galaxies. It's the same intelligence that you are. What's stirring in your soul? Give it space. Let it, tease it out. Let it come. Love yourself through whatever moment you are. And when you see the Pharaoh, the past starting to catch up to you, don't stare at it and turn into that pillar of salt and freeze. You've got to look forward and embrace the vision of that which is stirring in your soul, and wholeness and healing happens, because when the Spirit moves through you, there is nothing unlike it that can remain. It's like Teflon. Off it goes. It's not a battle and it's not a fight. It's just a non-issue, because you are that clear conduit of the divine emanation that is moving in the world. But you may have to, let it, like mandala. It may take a little bit, like yoga, asanas, those postures. I've been working on it now 20 years and it's still not working. But what I've learned is if I just, stretch a little bit, supposedly, I won't say I can perfect that particular asana, but, all of a sudden the muscles stretch. I become more flexible. I can, get into a particular position. What begins to happen is there's a detox that's moving from my muscles and my body and my skin. The muscles are becoming stronger, but it's over a long period of time that it is working for me. But, in our life, as we allow ourselves to be willing to be patient enough for it to unfold and realize right where I am is where it's happening now. And this is where I am at, and I'm looking forward. I'm looking within. I'm listening to Spirit. I'm seeing as Spirit is seeing. And what's coming to get me, I just forgive. Whatever part I played, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. The Ho'oponopono exercise. Remember that? You allow that to be what it is. You begin to see a greater truth that wants to emerge as you. There's this opening. You ever come out of a forest and it's like, boom, you come into this meadow. Wow. It's like out of the forest and the sun's shining and it's beautiful. That's what we're looking for, is that opening. With Spirit, sometimes you listen to music and the heart just expands to something wonderful. I can't even put into words, but there's an opening there. Maybe you're kissing your beloved and their time stands still or expands, or something magical happens and there's an opening. That's the kind of opening that's available when we're dealing in this realm of wholeness for Spirit to enter in. And then it closes. The sun's got to set. The music stops. The glow of love fades. As much as I would like to keep that opening all the time, live in that blissful nirvanic state, I don't care about anything, it doesn't work to function in this world. We have got to bring forth what we saw on the mountaintop from that opening back into the world. And so what we tend to do as spiritual seekers is we continue to practice those things that create that opening for the ineffable to reveal its expression through us. Some will do music and their soul will be lifted. Others will read and do philosophy. Others will craft and be creative. Sundays, as I said, is my opening. It starts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is, boom, that's that opening. It's the magic. It is the wonder. And what I've come to recognize is it is that pulse it's a pulse of love, and God is love. But when you allow yourself to do what you're passionate is, passion is love in motion that is moving through you, that allows you to be that avenue through which the wholeness and the infinite expresses in its unique way as your very life. It's not as if you are different than the wholeness. You are fulfilling that which is in your soul to do, but you are the one who's got to be willing to create the space and the opening for a greater realization of the wholeness in which you live and move and have your being. You've got to realize that you are surrounded by blessings. That'd be a good affirmation. Let's say that together. I am surrounded by blessings. Together, I am surrounded by blessings. Again, I am surrounded by blessings. Let's say, my good is chasing me down now. Together, my good is chasing me down now. Again, my good is chasing me down now. I am perfect, whole, and complete. Together, I am perfect, whole, and complete. One more time, I am perfect, whole, and complete. And that's the truth of your wholeness. God bless you. I love you. Hey, let's keep it going for Kenny Dye.
Just a tiny bit. That's good. Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
On a journey going somewhere so unknowing, and it led me straight to you. Now there's restless feelings. I guess this heart is healing, and I'm not sure what to do. I find I'm missing you. I'm the road to follow, making my own way, and I keep giving my heart away, never feeling halfway, hoping maybe someday I'll be lying in your arms. There's no need to look down. My feet have long left the ground. It's my time to go and soar. But I find I'm wanting more. I'm a road to follow, making my own way, and I keep giving my heart away. I'm in the clouds and I'm flying low. I'm in the clouds and and missing you is as low as I'll go. I'm a road to follow, making my own way, and I keep giving my heart away, and I'm a road to follow, making my own way, and I keep giving my heart away, and I keep giving my heart away.
That is Kenny Dye. Woo. Man. Woo-hoo. Thank you for playing. You know, Taylor Swift should look up to you with those wonderful songs you're singing. Yeah, I mean, get beyond that pop stuff and just give that depth that you bring us. Just love your words, your songwriting. Well, hey, this is the time of our service where we have the opportunity to unite together in our giving. And united, we make a difference. I mean, I was just given a list of some of the names of people watching. Dana Voigt, who is handling our chat room as a practitioner. You've got Sandra, says she's cancer-free for 15 years. Thank you, Seaside Reverency practitioners. Lauren, you got Daniel Pikopoulos saying thank you. You got Mark Hodges. Gina from New York, say Spades. And we got Cher. We got Charles from Dana Point. Jen from Utah. I mean, this is the kind of difference that we are making. It is being watched, we know, at least around the country. Throughout the week, around the globe, our Joyous podcast is listened to in 70 different countries. We've got John Beethan, who just tremendously gets that out there in a way. So John, yeah, I don't see him here, but he doesn't miss. Every week it goes out to that list. And so I'm just, my heart's filling up with gratitude. So this is a time where we get to express that through our support. As you give, what happens is you begin to recognize that what I have is an inexhaustible source, that it's not coming from me, it's coming through me. It is, I'm part of the wholeness, I'm part of the totality, I'm part of the infinite, and as I let it move through me, my life is enriched, and I continue to be that wake that brings the richness and blessings to others. And so I invite you to listen to your heart and come from that place in your givingness in this moment. I want to invite our ushers to come forward at this time and say thank you to this wonderful crew. Thank you to those who mail in your contributions when you can't be here on a Sunday. Just greatly appreciate it. As well as those who practice the auto tithe. This regular systematic remembering that its spirit is the key to my source allows me to deepen my knowingness that my source is all over. You know, I may give in one place acknowledging spirit, but spirit shows up in all places of my life that are real and relevant. So I invite you to be that place through which spirit moves. And with that, I share this prayer of gratitude with the most generous of spiritual communities, knowing that this truly is a blessed moment where the fullness of the divine moves through each and every one of us. We become that avenue, that conduit, that vortex through which the abundance of the divine passes into expression. And so with joy, we take that which has graced our life and we send it forth, supporting Spirit's work, knowing that it continues to bring great good to more people than we could ever begin to realize, because it carries the elegant choice of consciousness, of the quality and the nature in which it is sent. And so we send this forth in love, and we find our world just pouring forth the love, the healing, the transformation, and the amazing realignment of the greater good. And so it is. Amen. Together, let us say this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully, I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. Wholeness from Seaside. Nice job. And so as I stand before this bounty, I can feel the outpouring, the love, and the caring, the compassion. For truly that ever-expanding abundance not only is in the theoretical realm, but is showing up in our physical reality. And so with joy, we take that which has blessed us and we send it forth to bring blessings to Spirit's work as showing up at Seaside. And this gift is received in love, it is handled in good stewardship, and it is put forth back into motion, bringing that love and that joy and that blessings and grace to all those it comes in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this opportunity to be an expresser of that spiritual truth, of the wholeness. And so it is. This is Edwin Robinson, guys. He is your passport president, part of everything around here, for sure. A great job with the camera crew. You've put together a fabulous team, so thank you so much for that, Edwin. And also, Edwin, today we got a new member class today, right? Going on. So if anybody's been thinking of joining Seaside, come on out to the class. It's about 1 o'clock right here. I'll answer all your questions. April 14th, the new member Sunday. We'll have you stand on stage. But go ahead, fill out an application at the table with Edwin or with Susan, and come be part of the class. I'd love to have you answer those questions. And Kitty, there you are. Hey, bless you. Thank you. Wonderful. Just you're a wonderful songwriter and deliverer of your tunes. Bless you. Thank you. And thanks for helping out with telethon, too. That was great. Appreciate you dropping in on that one. And Carissa, always a joy to have you leading us in songs. Man, you just nailed them today. That was a lot of fun, for sure. And you can tell me later how late you got home last night or this morning. Anyway, sound today, Ed, thank you so much. Appreciate giving us the sound. Marv, wonderful job with the slides. Oz, always appreciate that. And take a look at the Sunday program, see what's going on. Like today, afterwards, our day starts, the homeless shelter, rotational shelter, begins today for Seaside. So we have opened up our doors, and tonight's the first night with the rotational shelter. We have, I know, just about all spots filled, all filled, one left, one night, is it? So Tuesday night, we're looking for someone to spend the night with the shelter. You got your own room. All the food and meals are handled by Seaside. It's one of those ways we take our hands and heart off the campus, and this rotational shelter goes throughout the winter into spring, creating a space for those that have just been bumped off a little bit about having life work and to help them get back on track. So it's one of those wonderful things that Seaside does. Also, this afternoon, since I'm on this afternoon, 4 o'clock at the library, a wonderful choral group that our very own Candace Schultz and Dr. Christina in the Roger Anderson Choir got some fabulous music they're doing. So that's at the library. Monday, speaking of music, right here, Deep. If you haven't been to Deep's sound meditation lately, man, this is the place to be. It's 6:30. It is magical. It's ethereal. It's out of body. It is relaxing. It is healing. It's tomorrow night, so you don't want to miss that. That's going on for sure. And Ricky Byers. You got your Ricky Byers tickets? Yeah. It's getting better, and that's not a huge... I'll tell you what. Hey, Marv, you want to run that 60 seconds? One of my favorite songs she does, in the land of I Am. The 12th, Friday night. And, we're selling general tickets pretty good, but all honestly, the VIPs didn't go fill up right away. And so I want you to know what we have done is we have dropped the ticket price from the $110 to $75. And so it's going to be still the private reception, wonderful, scrumptious food, free CD, an opportunity to chat with Ricky, sign your CD. We'll save you preferred seating here. We'll save you preferred parking. So you still get everything. It's just like to have some more people out there at the artist reception. So $75 and you get up close with Ricky. So otherwise, come pick up a general seating ticket. It's going to be a fabulous night. Obviously, I'm passionate and excited about that. So bring people. It's an inexpensive ticket, and it costs more to go to Sinopolis. So, and this will be better. She's humorous, charismatic, energetic, enlightening. It is a safe place to bring some friends. So, anyway, those are some things going on. As you know, Easter's coming up, and we got the Good Earth Friday service that's happening. We've got the sunrise service followed by breakfast. All sorts of things. I see some kids. I want to ask, anybody want to share with me this morning? Yeah. Hi.
He shared about what makes us special, and I said what makes me special is that I love animals.
Ooh. Oh, thank you. That is wonderful. Nice job. I can put them right there. How's that? Is that okay? Nice. Think they'll stay? I jump around a lot, so we'll see. Okay. Hey, let's say our affirmation for our children, and that is, we see you, we love you, and we support you in your magnificence. And so the last Sunday of the month, as you know, is our Prayer Wall Sunday, and what that means is I want to invite all of our religious science practitioners and ministers to join me up here today. And what will happen is I will pray. We'll sing ourselves out as we typically do, but then all of us are available to you for prayer. So come up and ask for prayer. What it is, it's a returning to that sense of wholeness and well-being. And so with that, I invite you to feel that presence in this moment. That sense of life and love and spirit. I truly know that something wonderful is going on right here in this moment, this day, for there's a healing that's going on. There's a merging with a greater sense of oneness with the infinite. For the blessings and grace of God are upon this moment, that life from which we came, that we are. Come to sense that wholeness, the totality, the omnipresence, the omniscient, the omnipotent as the very essence of being. That which breathed into expression your life. You are that. I am that. All that I am, as Ricky was singing. In the land of I am. Have fun and smile with Spirit. Experience the joy and the light and the life and the love and the glory of Spirit. It doesn't even need to be articulated, just felt and sensed. Whether it is through song, whether it is walking and coming upon a clearing in the meadows of the forest. Just something that reminds you of a child handing you flowers unexpectedly. That just reminds you that I am in the land of I am. And it's beautiful here. It's wonderful. It's where healing happens. It's a return to wholeness. I'm no longer focused on the past. Pharaoh and his chariots don't bother me. For Spirit has eliminated the enemy, the challenge, the difficulty. I choose to catch that vision, that passion that stirs within my soul. And I become that clear conduit of that divine emanation, that creation, that creative expression. That passion is the impulse of love that moves and heals, purges. And so if anyone here today is looking at any particular kind of challenge or difficulty, whether you're looking at any doctoral procedures, surgical procedures, I know right now that the medical modalities are a wonderful avenue through which the hand of the divine expresses. I know right now that each and every one of us is surrounded by love and partnership, understanding and respect and forgiveness. There's a deep compassion that resonates within the very aspect of our being, and every cell is just activated by that wonderful vibration and that feeling and that movement of wholeness, revitalizes and strengthens, renews, realigns, remembers that initial blueprint which cast us into expression. So grateful to know that life is joy, life is love, that anything that anyone may be working on our life, just lift it into that light and allow it to dissipate and be diffused. Feel good. Feel God. Know that your blessings abound, that your good is chasing you down, that I am perfect, whole, and wonderful in this moment. For this I am grateful. I am thankful that the words I've shared, they're the truth, that they're manifesting here and now through each and every one of us, that there is a shift in the healing going on, that these practitioners that speak their prayers after this service are a representation of the whole expression of God, dissolving any sense of separation between where one stands and where one wants to be. For right now is the time in which the full expression of God has its way through these wonderful emissaries of light. So grateful to know that healing has happened. It's happened. It's happening. Right where I am is where it's happening now. I know this. So I'm filled with appreciation. The grace of Spirit goes I let go to this. I trust it. I believe with an unshakable conviction in the divine right action and unfoldment as the reality within the physical form of our life. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I didn't thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. And now I can say, if you are discouraged, you're struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am here in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am here in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Okay, Seaside, your turn. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
And our affirmation is, I am perfect, whole, and wonderful. Together, I am perfect, whole, and wonderful. Touch your heart and say it again. I am perfect, whole, and wonderful. One more time like it's your truth. I am perfect, whole, and wonderful. And our song of grace.
I'm living in love. I'm living in peace. I'm living my life for what I believe. Poison through fears in this world I walk. God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are
Come on up. Receive prayer. We're here for you. We'd love to pray. Just step into this place. Let it be known. And the truth of your wholeness will express.